Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. We have just seen a new announcement from the Pokemon Company. Bans have been handed down to cards in the expanded format, making for a little bit of a healthier supposed format. Expanded has suffered from just a massive amount of unchecked power. There are a lot of cards that are abused and a lot of cards that weren't necessarily meant to be played with each other. We're seeing a lot of innovation in the form of, Scoop Up Net and the Pokemon V, and those in particular really weren't supposed to mesh with the cards of old, namely Shaymin and Melodice, and those are two of the cards on the ban list. So let's get to it. Expanded format here. Look on Pokemon's website. Melodice is the first banned card here from Flashfire. This Melodice is most prominently featured with the Trevenant and Dusknoir deck being able to Energy Grace and get that into play on the second turn of the game. So Energy Grace ability, once during your turn, you may knock out this Pokemon, and if you do, attach 3 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. Now, this was meant to be played with Pokemon EX in that era, and since we have Pokemon GX and Pokemon V that are extremely powerful but require a lot of energy to be attached to them to do their high damage output and have their crazy effects, Melodice wasn't really meant to engage with those kinds of cards. So we're seeing that banned. Primarily, this card was seen with that Trevenant and Dusknoir deck. But just generally speaking, as we get more and more powerful V Pokemon that need those higher energy costs, I think Melodice is a perfectly acceptable ban and really gets rid of one of the most frustrating decks of the expanded format in Trevenant and Dusknoir. We have the next card up, Oranguru from Ultra Prism. Resource Management, put 3 cards from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in any order. So Oranguru and the next card that we'll see, Sableye, with its Junk Hunt attack, put 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand. Create a game where resource management is way too simple. Like it's so easy to be able to get your resources back with both Oranguru and Sableye. And actually, Pokemon lets us in on their thought process here down in the details of change. Oranguru's resource management attack and Sableye's Junk Hunt attack allow for infinite resource recursion strategies that are relatively simple. That's the important point. They're relatively simple to achieve. It's not that they're necessarily broken in the sense that recovering resources is, something that shouldn't ever be done in Pokemon, but the fact that it's so easy and so simple to do it makes these 2 cards on the ban list for Pokemon here. In the attempt to curb the effectiveness of some of these control and lock strategies, these cards have been banned. I think this is a great move. We didn't really think about Sableye as being an option for the expanded bans, but it works perfectly and it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to ban Oranguru, which was a problem, then you might as well ban Sableye too, because that also, like with the banning of Oranguru, maybe all these lock style decks kind of shift more towards Sableye. So I'm completely fine with both of those bans, and they really kind of follow the same idea, right? Oranguru and Sableye both getting back those strong items and strong lock cards into your deck or into your hand in Sableye's case. And you're completely shutting that kind of archetype out with those 2 bans. Our final ban, and probably the biggest and most called for ban in the expanded format, is Shaymin EX. Shaymin EX, with the ability set up when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So this is so good, just a really nice ability to set up. The problem with Shaymin is that it was never meant to be played with Scoop Up Net, and that can result in a lot of wild combos that the expanded format really just shouldn't have. We have Dedenne and we have Crobat. Those are more than enough draw for expanded, and Shaymin, while it is good and setup is a very, very good ability, just the fact that it can be comboed with Scoop Up Net makes Shaymin a completely justifiable ban in my case. We were kind of wondering, there was some speculation in the community on whether Shaymin was going to get banned or whether Scoop Up Net was going to get banned. And it makes a lot more sense to ban the older card. The older card is, a little bit more expensive than the uncommon trainer that we have in Scoop Up Net. And also Scoop Up Net has a lot of cool combos that it can use with expanded cards, in the sense that you can pick up, Basically, the scoop up net is meant for the basic Pokemon, and we should be able to utilize that and kind of figure out new ways to use that, as opposed to Shaymin. We already kind of know what Shaymin does for decks in the expanded format, making the turbo strategies just go off insanely quickly. And then we have a very reasonable replacement for Shaymin in both the Dene and almost exactly a reprint in Crobat, except you only get to do it once per turn. So these are the bans in the expanded format. What do you think will happen with expanded? I feel like with these bans, we obviously nerfed hard the blow up on turn 1 strats. We nerfed pretty hard like all these donk decks that you see on the ladder. Nerfing the Trevenant and Dusknoir deck, I don't believe that will be a major threat anymore in the expanded format. All the lock strategies that we've seen, that feature Oranguru, Sableye, Garbodor, those kinds of decks are pretty much gone. We do have something like Excadrill, right, to shuffle back in 4, but that's on an evolution, so it's going to be inherently a little bit slower than just Oranguru, attach, and get back 3. So I think that this really does help ADP in the expanded format. ADP has always kind of been around in the expanded format, but I think now we're slowing the format down a touch, and I think ADP, with its ease to get that 2 energy attachment through the use of double dragon energy, really gets kind of a boost here from these bans. But we'll have to see. This is a really exciting time for the expanded format because Pokemon is showing that they are listening to their players. And that is the biggest thing that we want, right? We want to know that we are being valued, that our opinion matters, and that when we say, hey, you know what, this format is way too turbo, that they're listening to that. I don't necessarily mind having a faster format because I think that the one thing about the expanded format is that we have a lot more options to work with. But at the end of the day, it was becoming a little bit too combo reliant, a little bit too like turn 1 blow up and just sack your opponent type of thing. I mean, Trevenant and Dusknoir, that deck is just a perfect example of just like do as much as you can in your turn and then limit as much as you can on your opponent's side of the field. So I'm really happy overall with these expanded format bans. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'll talk to you next time. Remember, good luck and also have fun.